This is thoughts while thinking, and these opinions are mine. And this information on this current agreement that's working in the United States and the World Health Organization is hard to find. And I finally got something, and I got these excerpts from Congressman Chris Smith of Pennsylvania. I thought it was worth passing on to you. And I appreciate you watching and subscribing.
The Board of Medical Examiners might take our licenses. There are all kinds of counter, and you know, as I said in my opening comments, there is a group think here that if the group is wrong and you just absolutely silence dissident voices, you get very bad outcomes. And that's what I think what we got. Yes. No, except that they reconvene, of course, soon. They're reconvening now, the Health Assembly. But they got to know that there are serious issues being raised by responsible individuals. You know, the doctor, the ambassador, the others, and we're not the only ones. And they need to take that into account. And the administration, if they pull a fast one and say, executive agreement, again, I mean, that is the worst way of shutting down debate and discussion. And who knows who gets elected next time around, then it's gone. And, you know, that's not good either. You know, they'll have to do it if it stays the way it is now. Put it through the Senate for ratification. Go through a process that's completely above board and transparent. Let the senators have a look at this. You know, the hearings be held. What does it mean? And then put it to a vote over on the Senate side.
They had a deadline. The one deadline they had was January 27th to submit the negotiating draft of the international health regulations, and they missed it. And so what they're doing now is they're continuing to meet to negotiate them, and they haven't said they're going to delay the vote. I mean, the point of that deadline is to be able to, for everyone to be able to look at it and analyze it, and for countries to be able to see whether they think that it's a good idea or not. And the fact that it was missed and that it appears that they're just going to spring it on everybody at the meeting itself means that it's going to be completely not analyzed. And I think that the vote should be delayed. I think the United States should take the position that the vote, in fact, not just the United States, the world, that this vote on the international health regulations should be delayed until the next World Health Assembly so that people can analyze what's in here and what the implications are going to be. And as I said, I think that the pandemic treaty, which incorporates the international health regulations by reference, needs to be delayed for a further year after that, because we can't be voting on a pandemic treaty that incorporates by reference something that we have no idea what it's going to contain.
There's one other milestone here, and that is whatever's going to happen on this appropriations bill. And I don't know what the timing is going to be on that. I don't know if there'll even be an open process. The Senate does not do appropriations bills, as you all know. So how this is going to sort out is an open question, but it's important that there be some kind of public debate about this particular funding. But if I could just make one other point, and Ambassador Bremberg said something really important. He said that there is an impetus to do this the way they're doing it, this secretive negotiation, because we have a particularly exacting treaty ratification process. And I would simply ask you, why do we have that? We have it because our brilliant founders recognized that precisely this kind of thing could happen. If you didn't have an exacting process, and by the way, with due respect to our friend from Politico, it is actually 67 votes that are required. 2/3 of the Senate has to approve a treaty. Because if you don't have that kind of rigorous process, you can have your sovereignty, your freedom, your constitutional republic snuffed, admittedly, with the consent and connivance of its own executive branch, which is kind of a problem. But it can happen. And that's why Congressman Smith and Congressman Bradstrip, and I hope the majority of this House, will in fact insist that the Senate take this up. And there's another data point that you need to know. I'm not sure you're aware of it. Senator Ron Johnson actually went to the floor of the United States Senate, I think back in February of last year, if I'm not mistaken, and put an amendment that would have simply required explicitly that whatever these guys come up with be considered by the Senate as a treaty. How many of you know what happened there? 49 members of the United States Senate, not quite a majority, but a plurality, voted not to do their job. 47 said, we need to. So if you want to know whether there is a problem here, ladies and gentlemen, when you have the United States Senate saying we're not going to protect the people of this country from having exactly the kind of problem the founders envisioned, here it is. We are at that moment. And again, Congressman, I want to thank you for 99 hearings. And I know that's just on China. I think the record is something like 600 on other subjects. You are a national treasure, and thank you for putting us together.
Thank you, Frank. If anyone else has any questions, we'll do it individually if you don't mind at this point, because you've been very, very patient. And we deeply appreciate it, all of us. For any of our distinguished experts, if they could stay as long as they can possibly stay as well. So thank you so very much, and the press conference is adjourned.